rather than two, but the first one, as you rightly say, is to provide advice to the Welsh ministers and the Welsh Assembly. The second one, I'm the medical director of the NHS, so I work closely with the medical directors on their efforts to deliver high-quality health services. And the third element, which I take as a public health specialist, is to be an advocate on behalf of the health of the population. So three roles, really.
If we look at the box, we can see that the box into which your post falls as Chief Medical Officer includes also Population Health Directorate. Is that a nod to the fact that one of the important aspects of the Chief Medical Officer's role is to be concerned with the health of the Welsh population?
So in Wales, the CMO role has not been purely advisory. It also has a directorate function, so a policy function within the Health and Social Service Group, which is chaired by the Director General of Health and Social Services. So the Population Health Directorate delivers on health policy, and that's health policy in terms of public health, as you rightly say, but formerly it also included primary care, and of course it includes health protection, so public health, health protection. It also encompasses the function of research and development within health, so there are a number of functions within the directorate.
And is that directorate, Population Health, what was formerly known as the Health Policy Directorate until 2018?
Correct.
To which there are multiple references in
Correct,
the paperwork.
Yes.
So, as part of your function then, you are concerned as the director of that part of the Welsh Government, the Health Policy Directorate or the Population Health Directorate, concerned with primary care, healthcare quality, major health conditions, public health, and research and development in that field.
Indeed.
All right. To what extent are you responsible also for health emergency planning?
So within the directorate, there is a health emergency preparedness unit, and I am the lead director for the Health and Social Service Group in terms of emergency preparedness. So I report, the Health Emergency Preparedness unit reports to me, and I report to the Director General.
So just pausing for a moment then on that, within your directorate, or rather within the Directorate of Population Health, of which you are the director, there is a unit called Health Emergency Preparedness Unit, HEPU.
Yes.
We'll see a lot of that later. And through you, that unit reports up to the Director General of Health and Social Services.
Indeed, yes.
All right, which is the box above you in the chart. Are you, or to what extent does the role of being the Chief Medical Officer in Wales differ from being a civil servant?
Well, I am a civil servant, so I subscribe and follow the Civil Service Code. I'm also a doctor, so I have a medical code that I follow. But the role of the CMO is slightly different from that of any other civil servant in that we have, by custom and practice, a degree of independence, and so I am expected to independently give advice to ministers. That's not enshrined, I don't think, in law anywhere, but it's a custom and practice and an expectation that I will give my advice freely and impartially.
And so by virtue of being the CMO, although nominally a civil servant, you are in fact in practice afforded a high degree of independence when you come to report to the Welsh Government, and a high degree of separation from their day-to-day concerns.
Exactly so.
All right. And in your experience, have ministers in the Welsh Government generally been receptive to the advice which you have provided from time to time?
I would say they've always been receptive. They haven't always followed it diligently or entirely, but they've always listened very carefully to what I've had to say.
Is there a Chief Medical Officer Directorate or unit around you? We've heard evidence that, for example, in England, there is an Office of the Chief Medical Officer which has a number of staff, and in Scotland, within the Director General in which the CMO sits in Scotland, there are also a number of staff, particularly concerned with being well, they're particularly concerned with the functions of the Chief Medical Officer. Do you have such a body around you?
Well, I do now. Going into the pandemic and before the pandemic, I would say I had some support around me, but it was really quite a small resource. That really is quite different now. So really, it was an administrative support that was wrapped around me in the first instance. I now have an office as the Chief Medical Officer, which provides me with quite considerable support in the work I do.
All right. Now we're going to look in a little more detail at some of the specialist groups or entities that sit within the Welsh Government. Could we have 180757 up, please, at page 1? And I don't know whether it's possible to do this, but perhaps have it alongside the organogram at 204014 at page 10. I should say that I haven't alerted our colleague who does this to that. If it's not possible, it's not possible. All right, well, there we have a planning group structure as at September 2018, which sets out the main bodies in the Health and Social Services group. The Health and Social Services group, and the top line of this document, is that the group in the blue box that we were looking at a few moments ago within the Welsh Government?
I don't believe so.
It was just to the left, in fact, and above the Directorate of...
The Emergency Planning Advisory Group, as I understand it, is it's a group chaired by the Welsh Government Health Emergency Planning Advisor, as it says, but that brings together the emergency planning leads from across all the NHS bodies in Wales. So it's not within the health and social care structure. It sits between the health and social care and the NHS.
Yes, indeed. In fact, my question wasn't about the Emergency Planning Advisory Group. It was about the wording at the top, Welsh Government Health and Social Services Group. That is the body that we were looking at a few moments ago on the others.
It is indeed, yes.
Right, on the other chart. So this is the Emergency Planning Advisory Group, which is an independent group which normally sits within the Welsh Government, but it includes a number of different groups. Will you take it from me that the Major Incident Response Partnership on the left, and then the Wales Mass Casualty Group, the Wales T&E Group, and the Pan-Flu Preparedness Group are all bodies which are on our main organogram, along with the Health Countermeasures Group, although that's in another part of the chart.
Where does HEPU fit in?
The HEPU, Health Emergency Planning Unit, coordinates the activities of the EPAG. As I said, the EPAG sits between the Welsh Government and the local health boards, and the HEPU is the coordinating body of that.
If I may assist, HEPU is formally within the Health and Social Services Group, which is itself part of the Welsh Government, whereas this structure is a semi-independent structure that reports into the Welsh Government. One of the reasons, Milady, for producing this document is it is a remarkably complex labyrinthine system. We'll come back to HEPU in more detail later, but essentially, is HEPU the body with primary oversight over pandemic preparedness for the purposes of the health bodies in Wales?
It certainly coordinates the health components of preparedness, yes.
All right. And what relationship did you have, or do you have as CMO, with HEPU?
Really, my relationship is with the Health Emergency Planning Advisor. So David Goulding reports to me, and he leads the HEPU.
All right. So HEPU is within the Welsh Government. It's part of the Health and Social Services Group, that directorate to which we looked at earlier. But its lead planner, David Goulding, reports to you as the CMO because one of your hats is a Welsh Government hat as Chief Medical Officer to the Welsh Government.
Yes.
All right. Could we have 204014, the organogram, at page 10, please? so that we can get our bearings, if you go to the large blue box in the middle and the left-hand side, you'll see Health and Social Services and the Chief Executive at NHS Wales, I think at one stage Dr. Goodall, but above that it says Health and Social Services Group. That is the group that we saw on the other chart. And you can see on the far right-hand side of the page the names Wales Mass Casualty Group, Training and Exercise Group, and Pre-Hospital Major Incident Response Partnership Group. They're three of the bodies that we saw on the other chart. And if you look on the very far left-hand side, you will see the Welsh Government Countermeasures Policy Group. That was one of the other bodies we saw on the chart. And then finally, HEPU is on this chart under the blue box on the left-hand side, Health Emergency Preparedness Unit. But the line goes generally to the blue box, but it actually should go directly to through the Chief Medical Officer, through you, to the Health and Social Services Group on the top of the box. Is that all correct?
I can't disagree with anything you say.
All right. I'm very pleased to hear that, Sir Frank, because I simply couldn't do that again. There is on this chart, you will see on the top right-hand corner of the right-hand large blue box in the middle, Chief Scientific Advisor. What relationship do you have within the Welsh Government with the Chief Scientific Advisor?
So the Chief Scientific Advisor sits alongside me. He provides science advice into the health and social care system. I was involved in supporting the recruitment of that post. I think that post originally reported through me to the Director General, but now reports directly to the Director General. Oh, I'm sorry, I do beg your pardon. I'm talking about the Chief Science Officer for Health. This is the Chief Science Advisor for the Welsh Government. I do beg your pardon. So that's a completely separate post, which is employed by the Welsh Government and would be on a similar level to the CMO, expected to provide scientific advice to the Welsh Government, impartial scientific advice.
But you're quite right that underneath Chief Scientific Advisor, you can see within the box NHS Wales Chief Scientific Officer.
Yeah.
Is that a post which is concerned self-evidently with health, because it's an NHS Wales post, and the scientific angle of health?
That's exactly the post I was just
describing
exactly. So.
Now, thirdly, if you then go to the left and down a bit, we can see Chief Scientific Advisor Health. Is that a different post altogether?